So how are you? It's one of the simplest questions we ask each other, quite frankly. And for many of us, the answer is almost automatic. It's something like, I'm fine, right? But maybe you've said those words today, even. Maybe you've heard them from somebody else. Maybe you've stopped believing them altogether. But let's talk about it. So the interesting thing about I'm fine is that sometimes it's true, but sometimes it's just an easier thing to say. It's an easier thing to respond with. Easier than explaining. It's easier than admitting that you're overwhelmed. It's easier than trying to find words or for feelings that you just can't really wrap your head around at the time. So you smile, you keep moving, and little by little, fine becomes the mask you wear every day. I don't think most people are really lying when they say they're fine. I don't think that's true. I think most people are actually just trying to protect someone's, maybe themselves. Maybe they're protecting their spouse from worrying about them. Maybe they're protecting their children from the same kind of worry, coworkers, their friends, or maybe they're trying to protect themselves from having to admit how heavy life has become sometimes. But pretending everything is okay certainly comes with cost. In fact, multiple costs. Today, I want to talk to you about three of those costs. Not to encourage you to complain more, that's not the idea here, but to maybe suggest to everyone or that everyone deserves, access to your struggles. That's not true. Not everybody does. But because I believe healthy relationships require honesty, like we've talked about in the past. And honesty starts by sometimes taking off the mask. So let's start with cost number one. People actually eventually stop asking if you're fine. Like, think about it for a minute. If every time someone checks on you, you answer with the same, I'm good, I'm fine, everything's okay, eventually people stop asking. Not because they don't care, but because you've unintentionally taught them that there's nothing to be concerned about. And I doubt that that was your goal there. Most people respect the answers we repeatedly give them. If we always communicate that we're okay, they'll believe us. And over time, that can become incredibly lonely because deep down, part of us wishes someone would notice. Someone would ask again. Someone would see through the smile. But we've spent years or months or however long convincing everyone there's nothing to see here. Cost number two, you kind of begin losing touch with yourself. This one's a little bit quieter, and I think it's more common than people actually realize. The more often we dismiss our emotions, the harder they become to recognize. Instead of identifying what we're actually feeling, we simply feel off. Not sad, not angry, not anxious, just off. Emotions are meant to be acknowledged, not because they should control us, but because they tell us something. They tell us what matters, what hurts, what needs attention. We repeatedly silence them, or when we repeatedly silence them, we don't become stronger, we become disconnected and disconnected from ourselves. And eventually, we struggle to explain something we no longer understand because we've just been leaning on, I'm fine. All right, and cost number three, you rob others of the opportunity to love you well. It's a big one. This may be even more the most important one. Think about about the people you love. When they're hurting, don't you want to be there for them? I think you do. Don't you want to listen, support them, maybe even help carry part of their weight that you feel like that you can handle? Now ask yourself, why would the people who love you feel any differently? Sometimes we convince ourselves we're protecting ourselves by carrying everything alone. But what we're really doing is denying them the opportunity to care for us. Relationships aren't meant to flow in only one direction. Healthy relationships involve giving and receiving, supporting and being supported, strengthening others and allowing others to strengthen you. You don't become a burden simply because you let someone know you're struggling. You become human. Now, let me be clear. This isn't about sharing everything with everyone, right? There is such thing as healthy self-disclosure. Not everyone has earned that level of trust. Vulnerability requires wisdom, but everyone needs someone safe, someone who listens, someone who won't rush to fix everything, someone who simply says, I'm here. And maybe you've been trying to let people or let you've been trying to be that person for everyone else, but you've forgotten to let someone be that person for you. One of the biggest myths we believe is that strength means carrying everything by ourselves. I don't believe that. I don't know that I ever really have. I think real strength is having the courage to say, I'm not okay today, or I could use some support, or I don't have this figured out. Those are not signs of weakness. They're signs of trust. And trust is what deepens relationships. So here's what I want you to think about. A little challenge for you. The next time someone genuinely asks you, uh, how are you? Pause before answering. Instead of giving the automatic response, offer one honest sentence, not your entire story, just one truthful sentence. Maybe something as simple as, it's been a hard week at work, or I'm carrying more than I expected, or I've been feeling really overwhelmed today, or even lately. Or simply, I could just use somebody to listen. You may discover something surprising. The people who truly care for you were never asking because they expected you to be perfect. They were asking because they wanted to know you, the real you, not the version that always has it together. So I'll leave you with this thought. Strength isn't pretending you're okay. Strength is knowing when you no longer have to pretend, because the strongest people aren't the ones who never struggle. They're the ones who eventually realize they don't have to struggle alone. So, hey, if this message resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you. The email you can get a hold of me is right there on the screen at this point. Please like, subscribe, add notifications, and just think about what's one thing you learned about asking for help or allowing others to support you. Uh, Share your thoughts on that as well in the comments. So, and of course, if this conversation encouraged you, I'd love you to subscribe and join me on my next talk as we continue exploring the conversations that help us grow, connect, and become more intentional in the way we live. So until next time, you guys have the best days you can. All right.